Hey everyone, this is Prince from Desi Programmer. Welcome back to another exciting video, and in this video we're going to continue our React.js series and we'll talk about everything that you need to know about components. So first of all, what actually are components? Components are the basic building block of a React.js application. In a simple React.js application, just as I told you, when we render something from our index.js, the app itself is an entire component. So basically any project such as this one, the entire project, the entire website that you see is a component. But a component, since I said it's a basic building block, it could be anything. If I give you a simple example of my website, so here the nav bar is a component, this carousel is a simple component, this entire part of courses is a component, and this simple course card itself is a component. Then we have the footer, which is a component. So we basically divide our application into simple, small, manageable blocks, which are basically components. Alright, the best part is that the code is manageable, maintainable, you can easily fix bugs, and best part among all of them, they can be easily reused. So let's talk about them in this one single video. As of here, as you can see, this is a particular app, and just as I said, our app itself is a component. So let's get started with this. Okay, we have an h1 that returns dark on something. Now let's say that we are taking a look at any social media application, and all the friends that you have, they are displayed in simple cards. So let's see that we have to render a card for every friend. Okay, so we'll create simple component for them. All right, in our source folder I will create a directory. We'll name that as components, and in this directory I'll have a component, and remember, a component name start with a capital letter, so we will say friend card.js. okay, now this is a simple component that you want to use. Okay, now there are two ways to create a component. First of all, we can basically there is a stretched way. You can do something like import react from react, then we can write a function name. So we have a function which is basically friends card. This function will return JSX. Remember what I told you. So a JSX right here, let's say we have very simple JSX. It's an h1 tag, and it's going to just have friend's name, let's say Prince, and then we have to do something like default export this particular function, so that when we call this single function is called. Okay, I think it's export default. I always kind of forget whatever it is, export default or default export, and I will save this. Now this is a simple friends card. Okay, to call this card, basically to render a component whenever you want, you just have to enter your component here. So instead of returning h1, I will return my friends component. Now there are two ways to return our card here. One is this one. So we have an opening tag and a closing tag, just as we have in our HTML. Pay attention to two things here. A, it is kind of an HTML tag, and B, remember when I said JSX is basically HTML with wings. Right now you can see how with the help of JSX we can basically put up our own tags. Although I won't call them tags, and so should you. You should never call them tags. They are basically components. So this is one way of putting component, like an empty opening and closing bracket. But the best one, something that people always use, is this one where you have a self-closing tag, like this kind of a self-closing tag. So this is our single component. Now if I save this, if we run the project, let me show you what's basically happening here. So when the app runs, as you can see, we have Prince on our screen, which basically means we kind of first call the app component, which then rendered this friends card, which rendered this h1, just as we can see right here. Okay, now let's talk a couple of things about components here. Whenever you come to components in React, there are basically two types of components. We have functional components and we have class based components. And remember what I told you in the intro video itself, that these are the two ways React was built. Nowadays we only talk about functional component, so I won't even confuse you by talking about class based component. Next part, the most important part, is that every time you return something from a component, you can return only one single node. Now, although it's technically node, I will call this as element for just for simplicity. Okay, so from any particular component you can return only one single element. So what I mean is that we have an h1 that kind of has the username. Okay, now if I do a p tag and if I say that hey, this user is from India, if you save this, there is an issue. Okay, it basically says that hey, JSX expression must have only one parent element, which means that when I return something, I can return only one element. So there are two ways to overcome this situation. Okay, A, wrap them in a single container, and we know what a best container is in HTML. We just wrap everything with a division, And now there is no issue. If I save this, if you go back, we have Prince and we have India, because now this division is a single parent. So according to JavaScript, according to React right now, from my friend's card, I am returning only a single element, which is division, right? But we know that our division can have multiple children, which is h1, a p tag. We may even have a button that says, hey, add friend. Save this, and here we have a button h1 and p. So this is something that you should remember, that you can return only one element. Now to overcome this, what we use is called React Fragments. So now why would you overcome that? Well, obviously sometimes you might give some styling to your division, or you don't want a division right here. So what we do is that we use React Fragment. There are two ways of using React Fragments too. Number one is that you do React dot fragment, okay, and then we just enclose it in the same way we do React dot fragment. Save it, and there are no changes, because a fragment basically kind of acts as a wrapper here. And the best way of using React Fragment is that to remove everything from here, okay? So if you have an opening and closing tag which says nothing, then this is basically a React Fragment. It acts as a wrapper, and as you can see, we are returning a React Fragment here. Now that React Fragment can have multiple children. So this is something that you should always remember. This is something that people ask you a lot of time, that hey, how many elements can a component return? It can return only one single component, one single element, one single component, or one single node. Now let's talk about reusing the component. If you go to app.js, here as you can see, we have a friends card. Obviously I can return any one single component here. So if I just copy and paste this, we are going to get an error. But if I close this, if I cut this, and if I wrap this with an empty fragment, now I can return multiple components here. If I save this here, now you have two cards here. See, the best thing is that I can use a loop or anything as such to just return this one component multiple times, and you will see the data multiple times. Think about doing this with HTML and you will realize how much React does things simpler for you. Okay, so this video was all about components. You have to remember three things. A component is basically a function in our JavaScript function which has to return JSX. Okay, if it returns JSX, it is component. There are a couple of rules here. It should start with a capital letter. I won't say that it should, but if you're using ESLint, then you may get errors and warnings say that hey, this should start with a capital letter. B, any component can return a single node or component or children or element. So basically when you are returning, it could be either one h1 or one p or one button or a division that can have a lot of children. So since you can return only one element here, you can return one such element that can have multiple children like table or division. And to overcome situation where you don't have to use any HTML tag without use, we use React Fragment. So that there are two ways of using React Fragment. One is to use React.fragment or just this empty opening and closing tags. So now this act as a wrapper which can have multiple children. Now before we move forward, I'll just cut this from here. Okay, remember when I asked you to install this one particular plugin here, which was ES7 React GraphQL snippet? There's a reason why I asked you to do so. Every time when you have to export a component from one such file, you may have to type everything that I just did, right? But you can overcome this just by simply typing RFC, which means React Functional Component. And since we are talking only about functional component, it completely makes sense to use functional component. Hit tab or enter, and now you will have this entire component rendered by default. So we have import, we have a default function export, which is friends card. It depends on the file name. That's why I asked you to use a capital letter. And then we are returning a div. You can simply erase it. Now we are returning a fragment, and these are the childs of the fragment. Save, and there it is. In the next video, we are going to talk about props, which kind of act like properties, and I will show you how you can use different name, different location, and whether they are a friend or not to render different component here. But that's pretty much it from my side in this video. I'll catch you soon in the next video talking more about React.js coding and whatnot. And if you like this video, consider checking out Desi Programmer Pro, where you can learn a lot more about other tech stacks which will help you to build your own product or to get a job.